We were in Pennsylvania, and we'd seen the neighbors board up their house, and we did what a lot of people did. Oh my God, what an overreaction. But meanwhile, we've never lived on the water, so we didn't know. And coming back from Pennsylvania, I said, you know what, we're here in Pennsylvania, we'll drive back on Sunday, let's stop and get a generator. I think I knew things were really bad when by the third Home Depot in Pennsylvania, they were sold out. And I'm like, they're freaking out? If they're freaking out, I should be really freaking out. So we got here. My friends had come and moved all the patio furniture, so we did more of that stuff. We secured things outside, and we were gonna stay. We were just gonna stay. And that morning, we actually slept kind of late. And I came out at 9 or 10, and the water was up to the top step of the patio. And that's when I said, now wait a minute, that's not good, that's a problem. I just said, let's get everything we can up, because it won't go higher than a king-size mattress. It won't go higher than a bed. It'll just wash in and wash out, and we'll deal with it. But it did. So the water went, we saw like the mucky seaweed lines, and it was probably here throughout the house. And then so the couches soaked up all the water, and then the boxes on top of the couches soaked up all the water. And the other thing you don't realize, I asked people who stayed what happened, because in my mind I'm envisioning like whoosh, the water. But they said, no, it's a steady leaking thing. And the reason I thought it was this big whoosh was because all my furniture was lifted up and toppled over. Even really heavy pieces of furniture just lifted and dumped. So I guess the water it gets in and things start to float, and then they just nicely topple. But they go. So everything was upside down. So I got a little bit scared when I went out in the front, because I didn't expect the front to be as bad as it was. And that's when I saw it was covering 2 of the cars. We moved the cars across the way the night before, but the cars that we'd left, it was starting to come up on the Jeep. So I knew we either had to get out or stay. But if we did stay, we wouldn't be able to get out probably for a few days. So we got all 3 dogs in the car, and then my son Ryan got in, and no, Timmy got in, and then Ryan and my husband, fireman, carried Kylie out, and I just went in, that nothing you could do. Very cold, very dirty. And we drove up to East Norwich, and then the next day is when we came and saw the water hadn't receded, and that's when we waded up. We had to park at the end of the block, and it was almost weird. It was like a bunch of refugees. We were all just wading down to see what had happened to our houses, and you were just in regular clothes, unless some people had waders on. And it just got deeper and deeper, and then the deepest point seemed to be my driveway. And then it started getting better. And so we came in, and it's overwhelming. It's just overwhelming. Basically, I walked in, and it was dry, so you think, oh, it's not that bad. Then you start opening drawers, and everything's filled with water. Because we had only moved here before the storm, 45, 50 days, all my scrapbooks, everything was in cardboard boxes piled in the front closet. I had just forgotten. I just didn't think. And that's the only time I cried, was when I picked up the baby pictures and everything went, and I was peeling stuff, crazy. So one of my friends just said, I got this, and she took it all away, and she's gonna restore them or dry them out. We just said, well, there's nothing we can do until the water recedes. And then we waded back out again. But the worst feeling was getting back in that water. I just was like, wow, I don't want to get back in that water. And we walked all the way back out. Our guy said it was category 3 water. So it was evidently really nasty water that everyone had, with sewage and oil and all of that. So he said, if it's category 3, you gotta take everything out and treat everything. We brought the kids back, And that was when, within 2 days, I tried to fix the door because people were looting up and down the street, and they had the curfew. So they're looting, and meanwhile, a friend of mine hires 2 people he knows who normally work on wood floors from El Salvador, and they're here, and these guys are killing themselves helping me, lifting things. Jim is trying to run the business at work because everybody's lost their heating systems, and he sells heating systems. Next thing I know, I hear, "Get out of the house, get out of the house, get out of the house." And I come out of the house, "Put your hands up," and I'm like this. And they've got the Juan from El Salvador in hand, with his hands behind his back, and a neighbor had called saying I was being robbed. So I come out and I said, "It's my house, just take it." I was like, "You can have it, I don't want it." So then they had to bring the neighbor over who cleared the guy and said, "No, it's not him." It was awful, but I guess it was crazy. They said, "You don't know what we're dealing with down here with the lights out and nobody around." So, and then I thought, let's just keep cleaning and we'll stay upstairs. And we did for 4 or 5 days. Yeah, but then going back to work was so hard. I couldn't think, I couldn't concentrate. It was so hard to teach, and they were devastated. The students were in bad shape. But I told them I won because I lost all my cars and my house. But they were great. We revamped the schedule together as a class, figured everything out. It's very hard. First of all, I think you figure out I can survive with just about anything, and all these things you think you have to have, like your blow dryer and all these things, you don't need them. The kids had a harder time, I think. And then there's no room for you anywhere else, but they take you in anyway. I don't think I can live through this again, to be honest with you. I don't know, if global warming and all this is going to start to become a regular thing, I won't stay. You can't do this more than once or twice in a lifetime, I don't think. It's just crazy. Gotta say goodbye to this year. But yeah, no, I feel like it could have been so much worse. I just feel like it's probably a good thing in a weird way. You don't want to be overly dramatic. You don't want to be, oh, boo-hoo. I mean, there were people who lost their lives. So the biggest thing I think I've learned is that we can really deal with a lot more than we think we can deal with, and my kids are resilient. They surprised me in their flexibility, and they really came through for me, so that was huge. And that, as long as you have each other, you basically have everything. It's such a cliche, but the things don't really matter. You can replace the things. Granted, I'm speaking as someone who had insurance. I think it's different. It's completely different if you were wiped out and you didn't have insurance, but we did, so we were covered, and that's why you have it. And the other thing I think I learned is that my husband is really amazing, and I've always known that, but he really came through for everybody in such a big way. But even within his community where he works, he did a lot for a lot of people. And the other thing was that people are so great. People are so amazing. Anybody, this entire community, they were out here trying to help. Then you had people organizing groups and just going from house to house, helping people empty out all their stuff. And they were amazing. They do pull together. So the human race is still okay. I think the human race is still okay. And, we're not going to get wiped out on December, whatever that date is.